concept of the xenomorph, originating from Ridley Scott's Alien film franchise, has captivated imaginations for decades. A creature born from the darkest recesses of biological horror, the xenomorph is both utterly alien and disturbingly familiar. Its predatory instincts, parasitic reproduction cycle, and biomechanical aesthetics evoke deep-seated fears of violation, extinction, and loss of control. But what if we shift our lens from one of horror to one of speculative philosophy? What if the xenomorph, rather than merely being a monster to be feared or exterminated, serves as a mirror or even a catalyst for humanity's evolution? This thought experiment explores how the hypothetical arrival of such a creature might shape the trajectory of human civilization, culture, and existential identity. In many ways, the xenomorph represents the ultimate Darwinian life form. It is perfectly adapted to survive, reproduce, and eliminate threats. It lacks empathy, operates with primal efficiency, and conforms to no known ethical framework. As a force of nature, it poses a unique question to humanity. How does a species defined by intellect, culture, and emotion confront an adversary that operates entirely outside its value system? The mere presence of the xenomorph challenges the foundational assumptions of human superiority, highlighting our physical frailty and dependence on technology. If confronted with such a life form, would humanity band together in unity, or would it fracture under the pressure of survival? Would we cling more tightly to our moral values, or would we adopt new ones tailored to combating this existential threat? The introduction of the xenomorph could catalyze a radical rethinking of bioethics. Its life cycle, which includes using living hosts as incubators, forces us to reconsider the boundaries of acceptable biological research. The xenomorph would compel scientists to study it in secret, under the guise of containment and defense, but inevitably with the lure of exploitation. Genetic engineers might become tempted to study its DNA, hoping to unlock secrets of resilience, rapid adaptation, or even immortality. In this hypothetical scenario, the creature could influence the course of human medical science. Perhaps its biology holds cures to diseases, or perhaps it teaches us something critical about parasitic defense mechanisms. But with every experiment, we edge closer to a moral precipice. How much of our humanity are we willing to sacrifice in the name of survival? Moreover, the xenomorph raises spiritual and philosophical questions. Its appearance and behavior evoke themes of ancient evil, divine punishment, or cosmic indifference. Theologians and philosophers would debate its origin. Is it a naturally evolved being or an engineered weapon? Is its existence random, or does it symbolize something greater? Different cultures might assign it mythical or religious significance. Some may see it as the embodiment of nature's wrath against human hubris, especially in a world increasingly destabilized by environmental collapse and technological excess. Others may perceive the xenomorph as a test, a trial through which humanity must pass in order to achieve a higher state of existence. Its very presence could force a reevaluation of faith, destiny, and the meaning of life in a universe that now feels less anthropocentric and more chaotic. Politically, the emergence of such a threat would likely consolidate authoritarian power. Governments would cite security concerns to enforce draconian measures. Quarantines, surveillance, genetic registration, and militarized science could become the norm. In this grim forecast, civil liberties might be sacrificed in the name of existential defense. Simultaneously, new alliances might form between rival nations, united against a common enemy. The fear of the xenomorph might finally unify the globe in a way that no ideology or shared vision ever could. Alternatively, power struggles over the creature, its biology, potential weaponization, or even philosophical meaning, could lead to intensified geopolitical conflict. Wars might be fought not just with conventional weapons, but through biological manipulation, psychological warfare, and the deployment of xenomorphs as tools of terror. Thus, the xenomorph, in its silent, remorseless presence, would become a player in the game of human politics, not through speech or ideology, but through sheer biological imperative. The cultural ramifications would be equally profound. Art, literature, cinema, and music would undoubtedly shift in tone and focus. Horror would no longer be a genre, but a reality. Science fiction would evolve into speculative philosophy or prophetic reflection. The xenomorph might become the central figure in a new mythos, a dark muse for the postmodern age. Humans would process trauma, anxiety, and existential dread through creative expression. Entire schools of art could emerge based on themes of transformation, survival, and the blurring lines between human and alien. Cultural identity might begin to fragment, with some groups embracing the creature as a symbol of strength, evolution, or freedom from human constraint, while others decry it as the ultimate anti-human force. Debates over identity, otherness, and survival would dominate public discourse. Education systems would transform as well. Traditional curriculums might give way to programs emphasizing survival training, xenobiology, emergency response, and ethical crisis management. New academic disciplines would emerge at the intersections of science, ethics, theology, and warfare. Children would grow up learning not only about Earth's history, but about the biology and tactics of an alien organism. In a world shaped by the presence of the xenomorph, the lines between fiction and reality, myth and science would blur. Cultural evolution would accelerate, driven by the urgency of adaptation and the existential need to understand an incomprehensible other. On a psychological level, humanity's collective psyche would undergo a massive transformation. Fear would become an ingrained part of daily life, not in the sense of panic, but as a low hum of existential dread. This could foster resilience and innovation, or it could lead to nihilism and despair. Some individuals might experience a deep psychological break, unable to reconcile their worldview with the harsh reality of a universe inhabited by such a relentless predator. Others might rise to the challenge, developing a new form of psychological fortitude rooted in adaptability, pragmatism, and emotional detachment. Society as a whole might shift toward a more utilitarian outlook, prioritizing collective survival over individual rights or moral sentimentality. One of the most intriguing aspects of this thought experiment lies in the possibility of hybridization. The xenomorph's adaptability to host biology means that it incorporates features of its incubator. If humans were to genetically merge with or breed xenomorph hybrids, either intentionally or accidentally, it could result in a new species altogether, a blend of human intellect and xenomorphic instinct. Such hybrids might be seen as abominations or saviors, depending on the context. They could serve as elite soldiers, scientists, or leaders, uniquely equipped to navigate a world where traditional human limitations no longer suffice. The existence of hybrids would force a reevaluation of what it means to be human. Is our identity tied to biology, consciousness, morality, or something else entirely? The boundary between human and alien would dissolve, ushering in a post-human era shaped by bioengineering and necessity. In this speculative future, the concept of evolution itself would undergo revision. No longer would it be seen as a slow, natural process shaped by environment and mutation. Instead, it would be guided by confrontation and conflict with the alien. The xenomorph would become an evolutionary accelerant, forcing humanity to adapt or perish. This could lead to breakthroughs in biotechnology, cybernetics, and consciousness transfer, as humans strive to transcend their biological vulnerabilities. The encounter with the xenomorph might mark the beginning of a transhumanist age, where survival necessitates transformation. It is a chilling yet fascinating possibility that only by ceasing to be fully human can we ensure the continuity of our species. Even our relationship with nature might be altered. Traditionally, humans have seen themselves as separate from or dominant over nature. The xenomorph disrupts this narrative by introducing a form of life that is utterly alien yet devastatingly effective. It might force humanity to adopt a new ecological humility, recognizing that we are not the pinnacle of evolution but one thread in a vast, indifferent tapestry. Conservation movements might shift their rhetoric from preserving biodiversity to defending humanity's niche in a competitive and predatory cosmos. Our environmental policies could begin to incorporate not just sustainability but survivability, anticipating encounters with other life forms not bound by Earth's ecological norms. Yet, within all this upheaval, there lies potential for greatness. Confronted with an existential threat, humanity might finally shed its petty divisions. Nationalism, racism, religious intolerance, and economic disparity might diminish in the face of a shared challenge. We might discover a new sense of unity, purpose, and identity not defined by geography or ideology, but by our shared experience as Earth's sentient species. The Xenomorph, then, would not merely be an enemy to destroy, but a crucible through which a more evolved, united, and resilient humanity is forged. In the end, the Xenomorph serves as more than a creature of horror. It becomes a philosophical construct, a biological imperative, and an evolutionary mirror. It reflects our fears, our ambitions, our hubris, and our potential. Whether it leads us to our end or to our next beginning depends not on the creature itself, but on how we choose to respond. Do we succumb to fear and chaos, or do we rise to the occasion, evolving beyond our current limitations? This thought experiment, grim and fantastical as it may be, ultimately challenges us to ask the most fundamental question of all. What does it truly mean to be human in a universe that is not built for us alone?